Hey, this is Coach Roseanne here, and I'm very excited to let you know that we're going to be opening up the doors to Hey Sugar at the end of February 2024. Now, I'm very excited to let you know that Hey Sugar Transformation Program is a program that helps women lose weight without dieting. It is our signature program, and we specifically talk about three main things. We focus on mindset, we focus on nutrition, and we focus on movement. Now, inside Hey Sugar, within the first 6 weeks, our promise is you could lose up to a dress size in those 6 weeks without dieting, without eliminating carbs, without restriction. And the best part about this program is we're going to give you principles that are time tested and principles that you're going to use long after the 6 weeks are over. And this is what makes this program sustainable. And so if you're interested in joining that program, I'm going to be attaching the waitlist below here for you to join and be in the waiting list so that the minute we open up the doors, you are going to be alerted. So we're going to be putting the waiting list below, and I cannot wait to see you on the other side.
Hi, I'm your host, Roseanne Kamau, a certified nutrition coach with a background in psychology. Here on Hey Sugar Podcast, you will learn how to live a healthy and sustainable lifestyle without dieting. I'll be teaching you practical tips that you can incorporate in your unique lifestyle. I am going to help you break any dieting mindset traps and show you that a healthy and sustainable lifestyle is doable. I'm going to keep it simple and I'm going to keep it real. Now, you see, I was once overweight, I was once medically obese and had a diagnosis of high cholesterol. I've been able to keep my weight off and keep my cholesterol numbers to a healthy range for over the past 15 years. So if you're ready to change your life for good and create a healthy and sustainable lifestyle for yourself, then this is for you. Let's go.
All right, guys. So on today's episode, we are going to be talking about what are the things I would do differently if I was overweight and I wanted to lose weight. What are the things I would do differently? And I'm going to give you 3 hacks or 3 tips that I know I would apply, and I encourage you strongly to apply them. So first and foremost, before I even get into those hacks, let me give you a little bit of background for those of you that may not know. At 29 years old, I got a diagnosis of high cholesterol. Now, when I tell you that shook me to my core, it shook me to my core because I thought I was going to die of a heart attack. I thought I was going to leave my family, my young family, and someone else was going to raise my daughter. It just did not make any sense. And so for me, that diagnosis is really what catapulted me to work on my own lifestyle and eventually finding my calling and helping other women lose weight without dieting so that they can create a healthy and a sustainable lifestyle. Health is very important to me. And so even as I'm going to be sharing with you these hacks today, I will draw from my past experiences, show you some of the mistakes that I made so that you do not have to make the same mistakes that I made. So what's the first thing that I would do? Number 1, I would be present. I would not make a decisions from a place of being urged or in a hurry, but I would instinctively trust what I feel. What do I mean? Now, when I had that diagnosis of high cholesterol, one of the things that I did, yes, I worked on myself, I began to drop the weight, but at some point I felt I needed to hire someone to show me what to do. The first coach had me counting calories. Immediately, I knew this was not going to be long term. Immediately, I knew this was already feeling heavy. Immediately, there was an absolute, don't do this, but I did not trust. So when I say I would be present, it means I would absolutely notice what actions I'm going to be taking place. And if it feels absolutely heck no, I would operate from a place of trust. Because what I did instead was I looked at the before and after pictures that my coach had sent me, and she was showing me what would happen once I was able to track these meals. And for me, even though it felt heavy, even though it felt hard, I did it for a month and it was hard. And after that month, I was like, man, this is not sustainable. Not only that, I also felt like I was missing out on eating some of the things that I wanted to eat. So while I got the results that I wanted, I was not operating from a place of trust. And immediately my intuition knew that that was wrong. And this is the thing I want you to know. How many of you have either done a diet, and the minute you even looked at the meal plan, you were like, sis, how am I supposed to eat this? Or let's even bring it to life. How many of you have ever been in a relationship where you saw the red flags, but sis, you chose to ignore them? Tell me, ain't that the truth? And then what happens after? Once you ignore those red flags, once you ignore your intuition, once you ignore that voice of God, then what happens? You end up struggling and suffering in the end. And so it's the same thing. I want you to operate from a place of trust and a place of knowing that even though this may not work for me now, you will figure it out one way or another. Because the next thing that I did was I went into measuring foods. So, what I want you to hear is I did not give up. I was still trying to figure it out, and you probably are still trying to figure it out. And so the next coach I got had me measuring foods. And I was such a good student because, y'all, I went to Walmart on Route 38. I got me a scale and I came home with a scale. I put it on top of my kitchen counter. And as soon as I put it on the kitchen counter, it was an absolute heck no. It's almost like my mind did this whole thing where it projected forward and it could not see how I was going to live that lifestyle of measuring food. And that was like it was dead on arrival, could not measure my meals. So, coming from a place of trust. And what is trust? Trust is knowing that what it is that you're going to do is going to feel, it's going to feel doable, it's going to feel sustainable. And what's sustainable? For majority of the women I've worked with, they feel for them. It's best to incorporate traditional foods. It is best to incorporate all meals as part of your diet. And it's best that they're the ones who are choosing and deciding what to eat and not to eat. So, coming from a place of trust is something that I would strongly encourage you to focus on. Number two, the one thing I would strongly encourage you to focus on is this is a way of thinking, because this way of thinking has held so many women back, and I believe is the reason why a lot of women struggle. And it's this whole concept of thinking, oh, I'm going to start tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to start in the new year. Oh, I'm going to start after my birthday. Oh, I'm going to start after we come from the holiday. But sis, you're still eating in the holiday. You're still going to be eating in the New Year's. You're still going to be eating. So, isn't it better for you to learn how to eat during those high stress moments rather than waiting until the waters are perfect? And I put perfect in quote, because that's what holds you back. If you keep saying you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, it's never going to be perfect. It never will. That's just not how life is. Life is not perfect. It's not linear. It's up and down, sideways, it's crooked, it's road bumps. And the best thing you could do for yourself is to learn how to eat during those moments when things are not perfect. Because once you get to understand how to navigate during those storms, once you understand how to navigate when the waves are hitting and the waters are crashing, that is when you have your kids that you're helping. You have a husband that you're the one who's making the meals. You probably are navigating your career. You're probably traveling from one country to another. You're probably climbing up that career ladder. If that's you, that's the best time for you to learn how to eat, because it's not going to get quieter anytime soon. And so the sooner you decide you want to make it, you want to understand how to learn during when the waters are rough, that's when it's going to become so much easier. And so that's another hack that I would strongly encourage you. Change your mindset and notice how much better you're going to show up. Because when things are smooth and the waters are calm, yes, now all you're going to be doing is applying. Because if you're only doing this when the waters are calm, what's going to happen when the waters are raging? What's going to happen when the storms are raging and they're going crazy? What happens when there's a hurricane and a tornado? This is an analogy for life. What happens when all your kids are screaming and crying at the same time? Are you still going to be reaching for food? Or is that the best time to go and learn how to manage that emotion of maybe your kids screaming versus reaching out for food? So it's really important for you to learn and to learn how to navigate during the stormy weather. And then finally, I would make a decision from the moment now. I would make a decisions from now versus the future. Now, let me explain this. For some people, we always say, because my birthday is coming up, let me work on losing weight. Or they could say, because I have this big event that's coming up, I want to look my best. And I get it. Listen, it's been a motivation for a lot of people. I want to do that now. But what that has done is you get to fail being present. Is you're not as present as you ought to be. And so you're making decisions based on the future rather than based on today. And what happens when that future finally arrives? What are you going to do? This is the gap. This is where a lot of people get stuck because now you go back into your old way of being. You go back into living the way you used to live before. And so, what I'm saying is, yes, they can be great motivators. Yes, they can help you with those short term goals. And yes, for a lot of people, that's been sort of the way they've been able to get over the hump. But if you have a history of dieting, if you have a history of yo-yo dieting, for you, you really need to be present. You need to start making decisions from a place of now, of today. And this is where we're taking one day at a time, one step at a time, where you're not jumping forward. Because what happens when you begin to jump forward, you begin to make decisions that are not that are usually on the edge, they're usually extreme, they're usually not balanced, and this is what now catapults your weight from one end to another. You have some weight to lose, let's say you're 80 kilos, your goal is to get to 60. You go on this restrictive diet, you've made that decision. Everything that we do, by the way, always comes from the place of thinking, our decision. And as you now moving from one extreme to the other, from 80, you drop down all the weight, you drop like 20 kilos, you feel good. But once you arrive there, if you have not learned the habits that are going to help you stay present and are going to help you make the right choices, this is when for most people we begin to gain all that weight. I hope this has been helpful. I think it's a great one. It's a doozy. I love it because I feel if I was going to do it, these are some of the things I would do. And so I strongly encourage you. It's different. It's not about just food, but I want you to really start beginning to think differently, because the more you think differently about what you've been doing in the past, this is what's going to give you different results. I want you to begin to challenge the way you're thinking about, if you were looking to lose weight, challenge what you're thinking about your own weight loss. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. And as always, remember, you've got one life, you've got one body, and I want you to treasure it.